We're entering into the season of grief. Did you know that? Well, that sounds a little bit weird, so let me explain it to you. When we're dealing with our emotions, we can learn from the elements around us, the seasonal changes. So the ancients, they taught us how to do that. And one of the things they have discovered over these thousands and thousands of years is that when we move into the autumn season, we move into the opportunity to balance the body through releasing by letting go. So, like if you notice, when the autumn comes, the leaves change, the colors change, the emotions change. If we were to think of ourselves as the and part of the element of earth, the leaves drop, and as the leaves drop, they let go. The winds come in, the breath clears the space. So that's how the ancients put together the fact that the autumn season is associated with the element of the lung and the large intestine. And they also noticed that that season of the lung and large intestine, because each of these season has a whole bunch of elements that go with it in relationship to our inner harmony. So why is this even significant? Why am I talking about grief? Because that's the emotion that can be released in that dropping of the leaves, of the letting go, of the wind coming in, the breath purifying. So if we know that we're entering into that season, we can optimize that opportunity to really take in the breath. So grief is the emotion that gets a little bit stuck through all the other seasons. And gosh, it's been something that has been really prevalent in our current time. And quite honestly, grief can be a whole lot of different meanings to different people. It's basically it's a loss of something, a wish that something was different. I wish I didn't lose this. I wish I still had that. I wish I was still young. I wish I was still in this situation. I wish I hadn't lost that. So, think about the last year or so as we moving into this season. What do you think you are still holding on to that may be causing some of that? I wish it was a little bit different. And how can you let that go? Well, one of the greatest ways to let that go is utilizing the optimal element of the breath. So with each breath, we bring an opportunity to balance the body and harmonize the mind. So just take a really super deep breath in, all the way up to the collarbone. The deepest inhale you have ever taken all day long. Hold it just for a pause, and then let go all the way deep, 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 and use the abdominal muscles to push out any excess air. And that's a part of letting go. And then do it again. Take a deep, deep, deep breath all the way in, all the way down to the belly. And so it'll fill up the belly and then goes all the way up to the collarbone. And when it gets to that point, you feel like you're going to cough or you're going to go ahead and let that out and push with the abdominal muscles. So what that does is that makes a whole lot of space. And now you can take in a feather breath. So not without force, you bring the breath in through the nose and like a feather, let it float down in front of your spine or float down the front of your body. Think of a feather just sort of floating down the front of your body. And then inhale and exhale, feather coming floating down the front of your body. So you do that a few times. The really significant part of working and soothing this season of grief through the breath is to get that really deep exhale going first. Let it all out and make some room, make some space. So that's working with the body. Now, how do you work with the mind a little bit? That is by just having an awareness, an intention of letting go when you breathe. See, we don't always have to pick the immediate thing that we want to let go of. We can also just send the intention to let go of what's not serving, to let go of what I'm grieving. Because we don't always consciously have an awareness of what we're grieving. I was working with a client today, and she had a really strong awareness of what she was grieving. She had a loss. She had a loss of a person significant in her life. That we understand. But we also have a lot in these last couple of years that we're sort of shockingly and forcefully taken away in a certain way. And I don't mean that in a bad way or anything like that. It's just an opportunity for change and shift, just like the seasons. So we're coming into the season of letting go. And one way you can do that is by taking that deep exhalation and then bringing in the breath and the intention of letting go by dropping that feather breathing gently down the front of the spine. Give it a try. See what you think. Good luck with that. And if you need some help with any of these processes, or when you feel like you would like to go a little deeper in letting go, you know there's something there and you can't quite work with it yourself, that is where I can have a complimentary session with you and we can figure out where you're at. And that's how I do business. Is I don't do a lot of advertising. I do by word of mouth, and I do by serving. So my service process is to have a conversation with people to see where they're at, and then we see if there's a way to work through and work together. So go ahead and connect with me if that's something that you'd like to do.